Satnam everyone, welcome back to the Aquarian Shift. My name is Jason Diltz, also known as Tag Cultivating, and in this video I'm going to talk about what it is that the water bearer of Aquarius is bearing. What exactly is in that cup that water bearer is carrying around? We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what it means for you as an individual, what it means for us as a collective, and what it means from a larger cosmological scale of time. So I want to give credit right at the beginning of this video to my astrology teacher, Tashi Powers. She is the one who recently introduced this concept of what is in the water bearer's cup to me, and I'm going to link her in the description of this video on YouTube so that you can follow her, and highly recommend that if you're interested in astrology, you study with her, because she is an evolutionary astrologer with years of experience and just a wealth of cosmic knowledge. Before I get into what's in the water bearer's cup, let's talk about some astrology basics behind Aquarius. So there's 12 signs in the zodiac, and every sign is represented by a archetype that's based off of what the constellations of the stars are thought to look like. So the sign of Aquarius is the water bearer, or the water carrier. It is represented by a human, usually in the form of a man, as it's traditionally been represented, although it can be man, woman, non-binary, whatever, but by a human carrying a jug or a container or a jar of some sort. And it's thought that inside this container is water. And so Aquarius, while it is not a water sign, it's in fact an air sign, is represented in astrology by the water bearer. This archetype is relevant for people who are having an experience in this life of having a sun sign in Aquarius or any major planets in the sign of Aquarius. But collectively, and what I talk about on this channel, is what it means for the age of Aquarius, which is the astrological age we have recently entered into and will be in for the next 2,000 or so years. So what is it that is in the water bearer's cup, or the water bearer's jug? Well, it's cosmic plasma. It's not water necessarily. It's cosmic plasma that's coming down from the universe, bringing us higher truths, bringing us higher knowledge. So let's take a step back for a minute and consider what exactly plasma is on a cosmological level. So on a cosmic level, plasma refers to a state of matter where atoms are so energized that their electrons are stripped away, and that's creating a sort of soup of free moving charged particles, we're talking ions and electrons, making it in the most prevalent form of matter in the universe, found primarily in the stars, nebula, and also just the vast space in between galaxies. So essentially, plasma is a superheated ionized gas that is highly influenced by electromagnetic fields. And really, it's considered to be a fourth state of matter. We have solid, we have liquid, we have gas. You can also look at plasma as being that fourth state of matter. So what does this mean to us down here on Earth, who are many light years away from said cosmic plasmic energy? Well, we're all here having a human experience, and part of that experience, when you are alive at the turning of the ages, when you are alive when a yuga ends, as I discussed in my last video about the ending of the Kali Yuga, is that divine knowledge starts to come down to this planet, and it comes down in the form of downloads that each of us as individuals get, and it's up to us to share those downloads. So that's what the water bearer is bearing. It's that divine knowledge. It's some kind of message from the universe that's going to be uniquely delivered to each and every one of us. And then it's up to us to deliver that to the broader collective in our own individual ways. So I want to talk about the message that I received. When I heard this teaching, I immediately got a download of some things that are relevant right now. And that download can be distilled into one word, and that word is sovereignty. It is so important that everyone on this planet get intimate with what it means to be a sovereign human. And I've thought of 4 different ways that that's incredibly important, and I'm going to talk about all 4 of those now. Self-loving, self-authority, self-generating, and self-divinity. We need to have a sovereign relationship with all of those aspects. So what does it mean to be self-loving? Well, the greatest relationship you have is the relationship that you have with yourself. We live in a world that puts a lot of emphasis on your relationship to other people and in formulating identities around how you relate to other people, your children, your romantic partner or spouse, your friends, your boss, your colleague. Any relationship that is outside of you, we put a lot of emphasis on. In fact, we have 100+ year history of Hollywood making a lot of money off of storied romances and off of this whole romance narrative that really takes the focus away from you as an individual and puts it onto you in the context of someone else. And to be clear, there is everything good about relationships. Relationships are our cosmic assignments. We have signed up to be in relationship with specific people at specific times to learn specific things. So relationships in any form are good and necessary. But the most important relationship is that connection and that relationship that you have with yourself. And during this time, when the water bearer is delivering us the gift of sovereignty, self-love is incredibly important. Everybody needs to get intimate with who they are. Have an intimate understanding of who you are at your core. Be good with yourself being alone. Be good just being you out in the world without anybody standing next to you. And just be very, very comfortable with yourself. That's the most important thing to be doing on a relationship level right now. This message is being delivered to you, full disclosure, by somebody who is 42 years old and has never really been in a romantic relationship, very open to being in one, and probably that will come soon. But I am very grateful for the gift I have been given in this life of having the opportunity to truly understand what it means to get good inside and what it means to have a relationship with one's self. And while not everybody's journey is going to be single for the vast majority of their lives, nor should it be, understand that if you find yourself outside of a romantic relationship for a period or an extended period of time, that is actually a gift from the universe, and that is an opportunity for you to develop a sense of self-love, and that within that developing of the sense of self-love, you are gaining a greater understanding of your cosmic sovereignty. Self-authority. That's the other thing. What is self-authority? Well, self-authority means that your thoughts are your own. There's a unending agenda of broadcast coming at us, of different perspectives, different ideologies, wanting to trance us into whatever belief system, whatever agenda for whatever outcome they want. We have these smartphones, we have all this technology, we have TVs, we have all these networks that are telling us to believe certain things about certain people or believe certain narratives about certain events. And we have to be very, very careful about all of it. Your thoughts, how you interact with a person, with a situation, need to be based on your own experience and your own intuitive understanding of what is happening, your own lived experience, your own intuition. There's no end of agendas that will happily bring you on board to whatever perspective they want to trance you in. You have to be in your own energy field. You have to develop self-authority. This is going to become even more difficult as technology encroaches into even more intimate spaces in our lives. There's a whole conversation going on around transhumanism right now. Boiled down to its simplest, we're already starting to get there, because these devices are such a part of our daily lives that it's often hard to separate our humanity from the technology that we constantly have in front of us. And now we're living in an age when you can implant chips into people's brains. And while this so far is being done to help people who do need this, people who are quadriplegic, people who have physical limitations because of accidents or so on, and that's all very good, there is serious talk of, in the near future, chips being implanted in us so that we can just do computing, right out of our brain very easily. This is not conspiracy talk. You can hear Mark Zuckerberg and you can hear pretty much any leader in the tech industry talk about how by the 2030s, computing is going to look a lot differently than it does right now. You're not going to be, in front of a laptop having a screen staring at you that you're inputting from your hands. The computing is going to be right here. You already have the smart goggles. You already have the early stages of those devices. None of this has to be bad. None of this has to be terrible. All of it has to be taken in and welcomed into our lives, though, with an understanding of self-authority. One of the biggest challenges of the Age of Aquarius is that we have to understand how to use technology for our own benefit and for the benefit of the collective, rather than allowing technology to use us. And that's a big challenge, especially right now when we're at the turning of the ages. Aquarius is an air sign. It's a sign of technology, of technological advancements, and indeed of technological revolutions. And just in our lifetimes, we have seen many technological revolutions. What I'm doing right now, talking to you on a phone, broadcasting it on a World Wide Web, and people from all over the world watching this was not possible 20 years ago. And it is now part of our everyday life, and that's a good thing. We have to just be very careful how we integrate this technology. And I'm a big proponent of meditation, and I'm a big proponent of having a practice and having a meditation, a yoga set, a breathwork set, and mantras that you're going to every day, because that helps develop that sense of self-authority. I practice Kundalini yoga. There's many Kundalini yoga meditations that I've taught on this channel that I'll continue to teach that are good for this. One of those is the intelligence meditation. I know I've done this on my on my Instagram before. I'm going to do a separate video soon specifically about the intelligence meditation on this channel, because it really does put your mind in a place where you're able to take all of the information that's coming at you, organize that in a way where you're able to see the truth, and the truth that you need to go toward, rather than being affected by the other agendas that are coming at you from other outside interests. If Kundalini yoga is not your path, that is okay. Find a path. Find something, some kind of practice that you go to every day. There are thousands of them. Have something that is greater and higher than you, that can put you on a path of having a greater experience of your own self-authority. Self-generation, being a self-generator. That's number 3. What does it mean to be a self-generator? What is self-generation? Well, in the Age of Aquarius, the paradigm of go work for someone else, get a paycheck, have a 401k, have health insurance, have your employer basically provide you everything in exchange for you giving them everything. That paradigm is out the door. You're starting to see that, and have been seeing that fade, and it is only going to more rapidly deteriorate with every passing day, month, and year. So each of us has to figure out how to be our own self-generators of money, wealth, abundance, and ultimately what all of that means is, how are you self-generating the life that you want to live, doing the work that you care about, putting the skill sets that you have into practical usage to bring real resources into your life. We all have to be self-generators. That is the most important thing as far as economy and as far as making money goes in the Age of Aquarius, especially as we're in this transition period right now. And there's all sorts of opportunities. So my invitation and my suggestion is, one, figure out what it is you're here to do. Like what is your mission? And if you don't know what that is, whatever you're interested in, whatever your passions are, that's going to give you a pretty good clue for what that is. And then two, okay, so once you figure that out, what are some ways you can start doing that? There's no end of technology, which I just talked about, available. Start to learn how to harness that technology to do good. When you're doing good for yourself, you're doing good for the world. And when you're doing good for the world gives back to you. And that's how you generate abundance. And that's how you build an abundant life. That is self-generation. And then lastly, and probably most importantly of these four, is self-divinity. That's the concept that source, truth, God, if you will, does not exist outside of you, but exists within you. There's the mantra, God and me and God, we are one. I did a video about this. That's self-divinity. And in the Age of Aquarius, that is one of the most important experiences that we will have, is a intimate understanding of what it means for God to be within us. That's a paradigm flip from where we've been, because we've been for the last 2,000 years existing in this paradigm of God is outside of you. And in fact, you need an intermediary to get to God. And that intermediary has often come in the form of an institution, often called a church, that often has required some sort of financial incentive to then give you the knowledge or the absolution of God. That paradigm is over. There is a new paradigm. And that new paradigm is your sovereign connection to the divine and your ability to tap into that. So my suggestion is to figure out how you can tap into that. Again, meditation to me is the fastest, most effective way. There's often the quote that prayer is you talking to God and meditation is God talking to you. And that has very much been my experience. All the years that I spent praying, I never really felt much of a relay, much of a connection. When I started meditating, I felt it because it was all right there inside. And now if you are someone who prays and you feel a connection to that, great. Keep doing that. My point in bringing that up is that in this age, the divinity is coming from within. It's not outside. It's not raining from heaven above. The sovereignty is right here. It is within. And we are going through a pervasive identity crisis right now, because all of the old touchstones have fallen away and the guardrails are off, and we don't quite know what to do with that. And the faster we can tune into our own divinity, the faster we tap into source and understand that that is within us, the quicker we start getting divine guidance, the quicker that plasma from the universe enters into our psyche, comes into our third eye, and then we get the guidance that we need, that we can then integrate into our own lives to be more happy, more successful, and more prosperous. So those are the four pillars of sovereignty that I received as a download through the plasma of the water bearer. It's being self-loving, having self-authority, being self-generating, and understanding self-divinity. And, I'll just end this with a few seemingly random thoughts that I want to share that I'm going to try to tie into all of this. Pluto went into Aquarius very recently. This happened last year, shortly after the presidential election in the U.S. And, whenever Pluto enters a sign, and Pluto stays in these signs for about 20 years, it usually brings the shadow of that sign out first. And we're definitely seeing that right now. The shadow side of Aquarius is elitism. It's a technocracy, surveillance state, and it's this sort of idea that the technology is running you rather than you using the technology to benefit yourself and those around you. And we're seeing all of those agendas play out right now. It's up to us as individuals to be as strong as we can be to understand what we're here to do, and then start boldly doing it to counteract that shadow. And one of the pieces of cosmic plasma that I was given a few years ago is, separate and apart from Pluto in Aquarius, just the overall age of Aquarius, which lasts over 2,000 years. What happens at the beginning of an astrological age sets the tone for the entire 2,000 years. So what we all do collectively and how we all interact with the archetypes of Aquarius right now is going to affect how humanity develops and how history plays out for the next 2,000 years. And you can look back to 2,000 years ago and look at the Pisces archetype and how that played out, especially as it relates to religion and institutions around power, control, authority. And you can see how the low vibration of that, which was very dominant, in the aftermath of Jesus, there was a whole, but there was no end of agendas for trying to define what that advent, what that incarnation meant. And there was a lot of very low frequency energy around controlling people and rewriting the narrative that had been brought here. And that broadcast became very strong, and that dominated the planet for the last 2,000 years. Now the light has started to come through. The last couple of centuries, you've had an expansion of thought, and we've recovered some lost knowledge about things that were actually said and what the truth actually was. And it's important right now that we've left the age of Pisces and we're in the age of Aquarius, that we learn from history, and that we find ways in our own life to integrate the benevolent side of Aquarius, the light of Aquarius, and that is community. That's coming together. That's heart-centeredness. And that's being excited about the revolution of technology, but making sure that the technology that we have is benefiting the whole, the collective, and that we're using it for good, not for nefarious purposes. And I'll end with this. One of the last videos I did talked about Kali Yuga. Got a lot of views and got a lot of new people on this channel. And welcome. I'm really happy to have everybody here, and I'm really grateful for everybody who watched that video, commented, and had anything to say about it. I want to make it clear, though, that I do not think that we are fated for some sort of destruction and mass extinction when Kali Yuga ends on the spring equinox this year. One of the things that my teacher Tashi said that really resonated with me is that when Kali Yuga ends, people who want the destruction, their lives will destruct. People who want to go toward the light, their lives will be uplifted. And that's very much what I believe. I think we are alive at a time where the world is starting to split into almost two different realities, and you can see that there's people that are sort of on Earth A, and then people that are on Earth B. I choose to live in the reality that though we are going through an intense time of transition, and though those touchstones and those guardrails that we're used to are going to fall away, new touchstones, new ways of relating are going to rise up in their place, and we will find an even greater resonance and an even greater reality in that. I believe that a lot of this destruction can be metaphoric. I live in Los Angeles, where fires have been literally destroying things for the last several weeks, so it's sometimes a little hard to see beyond where my current circumstance is, but it is important to look at this on a larger scale. And I don't believe that those of us, and there are many of us, who are waking up and understanding more about cosmology and understanding more about what it means to live in the light, I don't believe we were put here given that opportunity to see these things and share them just to be destroyed. So I do not believe that we are fated to mass extinction. I think we create our own reality, and the reason I do these videos is I want to put out as much knowledge, as much wisdom, and I try to put out as much positivity as possible so that you can integrate whatever relates to you into your own reality and share that in your own life. So cosmic plasma, that's what's in the water bearer's cup. Sovereignty, that's the word. Sovereignty is expressed in the form of self-loving, self-authority, self-generation, and self-divinity. So tell me what you think. What downloads are you getting? What cosmic plasma is coming to you? Tell me about it. Let's have a discussion. There's no end of wisdom and knowledge being revealed, and all of it is serving the greater good. So with that, may the long-time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. Satnam.